Hey Cookie Criminals, it's Riley over at Cookie Crimes. This video is the assembly instructions for 2025's Deluxe Gingerbread House, which is a castle. So if you bought the regular version, you are on the wrong video. So make sure you go to the other video. But otherwise, let's get started. Now, before I get too deep into this, I have to remind you, this is supposed to be fun. And building gingerbread houses is not a perfect art. It can be very challenging. Things can fall apart on you, and it can be very easy to get grumpy, at least for me. So look at your loved one that you're doing this with, give them a hug. You love each other. You're going to have fun today, right? And if you aren't having fun, take a break. It's okay. First off, a few supplies that you're going to need. A rather large mixing bowl with a spatula, some aluminum foil or wrapping paper. I'd recommend finding a tall glass. You're going to need some water, and of course a surface to support your kit. I have built the other one, and I would actually recommend this be 17 by 17. I think that would be about ideal. This is going to be a little small. I would recommend that you lay out your pieces like this, sort them by type. There will be 8 pieces of some of them. You can see 4, 4, 3, and just 1 of the front entrance. There will also be 2 bags of icing mix, as well as 2 piping bags. And missing from this picture is going to be a little spoon for measuring your water. Okay, to make your icing, put 1 bag of icing powder in your bowl, and you're going to use the spoon provided to measure out your water. And you'll notice that does not seem like a lot of water, but what you want is an icing that's thicker than toothpaste even. So I tried it with a whisk. It didn't work super great. I would recommend a spatula, and then just try and work all of those lumps out. Make it nice and smooth. But next we're going to put this icing into a piping bag. And so with these piping bags, they have an open side. And what you're going to want to do is stick it into the cup and then kind of pull the sides down. And we're going to try and get as much icing into the very bottom of that cone as we can. And we're just going to scoop it up and spoon it in. Once we have the icing in there, you can just pull this up and pull it out. Give it a little shake. Twist the top, and now you're ready. So I've wrapped my cardboard in foil, and once again, probably 17 inches by 17 inches. Maybe an upside down cookie sheet will do. Depends on what you have. This is going to be pretty big, so just keep that in mind. Plan ahead, because you're going to want to build on a surface that you can move it. Okay, so we're going to start with the walls that have the crenellations on top. We're going to flip them upside down so that the good side is down. And we will get our icing that we prepared earlier, and we're just going to snip the tip off, maybe a little over 1/4 of an inch. And then you can squeeze to get it to come out the tip. You can always adjust this later. The handy thing with having 2 of these is you can do one that's thicker for construction, and then you can have a fine tip that you can do for decoration. So just an idea. What we're going to do is we're going to draw a line kind of across the back of each of these pieces, and we're going to just drop it just a little below the crenellations there. I have a challenge to see how many times I can see crenellations, so you're going to hear that word a lot. And we're just going to trace this out. This is where the floor along the top of the wall is going to be, which will be great for placing decorations later. Okay. Then we are going to take these long rectangular pieces and we're going to do good side up and place them kind of like a letter T. And when you're placing this stuff in the icing, actually it's probably easier to just stand it up. But press it in and then just kind of give it a little smear so there's just really good surface contact. And we're doing this first because we want to give these some time to harden. It'll make it easier to assemble later. And these should be at a right angle, so as flat as you can. Okay, we're going to set these aside and we're going to just leave them alone, not move them at all. I'm going to recommend that you put an extra bead underneath the platform because this is a very important joint. We want to give that lots of strength, so we're going to add that to this guy here. Next, we're going to get the other blank rectangles. There should be 8 of each size. You'll notice there's a wide side and a narrow one. So these are the fronts, these are the sides, and we're going to build boxes with them. So I would recommend you take 2 at a time of the larger ones, and we're going to trace icing here. Next, we're going to get some of the smaller pieces, and we are going to press them together to form a box. And you'll notice it forms roughly a square. Just kind of press that in place. And then we're going to repeat this step 4 more times. So that's to use up all of these rectangles. When you complete a tower, just put it into a corner of your base, because that's where they're going to reside. Okay, so here's the 4 towers. You want to check all of these, that the pieces are nice and straight and that they've joined well, nothing's leaning, and then you're going to want to let this sit for 20 minutes or so. And meanwhile, our other pieces we made are also hardening even more. The next step is going to be to join those together to form the outer walls. Okay, my friends, it's hopefully been about 20 minutes. You should be able to move them and have it hold its shape by just poking on one spot. If it starts to move on you, you know it's not ready. These ones are especially important. I didn't get that at a perfect right angle, but these will sag if they aren't hardened enough. So give it lots of time. But the next step, once you're ready, is to ice the sides of this assembly, and we're going to put it between the towers. Oh my gosh. Once again, give it time. We're going to try this again without gesticulating. You're going to take your crenellated wall pieces and you're going to attach it between each tower until you form a box. And you just kind of center it on the tower so it's inset a little bit. And then we're going to repeat on this side without leaving it hanging for too long. The more support you can get in place, the better it'll hold together. Here we go. And press. And I'm feeling pretty good about that. Okay, this is proving to be kind of challenging. But you've noticed I've stuffed my dish rag underneath the walking surface and it's propping it up. So I think I'm going to just do that with another couple of dish rags, just so it can freeze in place. Sorry, folks, I didn't realize this would be that challenging a step. If you are using the alternate icing glue, the hot method, this will be a piece of cake. Nice and thick. So we want to try and make sure the castle appears square when we get that last piece up. And here we are. I feel like this is going to catch fire if I look at it too much. Next step is going to be moving on to the towers themselves, but this is a good time to maybe reinforce some joints that look like they're just a little sketchy. We are going to trace the top of each tower box one at a time, I'd recommend. And then we're going to place one of these lid pieces to form a floor. This will bond much easier than everything so far. And with this, it will have an overhang. So just arrange it in the way that you think looks most aesthetically pleasing. The kit will forgive you. And now we're going to repeat that step for all 4 towers. Next, we're going to trace the floor edges that we just placed. And then we're going to grab our crenellated pieces. You'll notice there's 2 different styles. One is longer than the other. This rectangle has a long side, so the longer piece of crenellation will go on the sides. So the best way to assemble this is to ice the edge of one of these long pieces on both sides, and then place it with a short piece so that they can kind of support each other when you place them. Make sure they press in good and they're nice and straight, and then you can continue to form the tower walls. Also, crenellations, crenellations, crenellations. Nice and thick. And just kind of, try and not make a mess. Press these in. Probably best to do one of these at a time. And now that she's nice and straight, we can move on to the next one. So it's assembled. You're going to want to give it some time to sit, but now would be a really good time to touch up your icing. Anywhere your joints aren't super great, just pack in a little bit more icing and then give it some time to dry before you get to decorating. Included in your kit is a coupon to How Sweet. Feel free to support that family business as well. Then you're supporting 2 small businesses instead of just one. I want to thank you for taking a chance on us and buying our gingerbread kit. We are going to do one every year, and every year it's going to be something new and unique. Included in your kit, there should be a link somewhere to leave us some feedback. So if you had any challenges with your kit, we'd like to know, because we are getting better at what we do every year. So leave your feedback, and thanks for supporting local.